The following is from the book God at Geylang, His Stories in Singapore's Red Light District, authors Debbie Zhang and Tan Lei Ling, read by Angelina Cheng and Clarence Lim. All rights reserved by House of Olive Leaf Limited.
Chapter 7. Dew the Transgender.
Early in the morning, I received a message from Dew, a transgender, that her mother was dying. My father called me home to see her for the last time. Dew's mother expected Dew to be a girl when she was pregnant with Dew. When Dew was young, his mother would cane him without a reason, and whenever she was drunk, she would severely beat Dew up with empty beer bottles. Dew did not want to live in fear every day, so when he was a teenager, Dew decided to run away from home. At 16, he decided to have gender reassignment surgery. For 17 years, Dew never saw her family other than her mother, who came to Geylang to look for her a few times to ask for money. We have journeyed with Dew since 2011. She believed that religion brings only comfort to the mind, but in reality, she had to fend for herself in order to not get hurt. She longed for love and had boyfriends, but they cheated her of her money. In times of desperation, she would deliberately take drugs so as to be caught and sent to prison. At least she figured she could find food and shelter. As we were the ones who always helped her with the rental room arrangements, we became the main source of contact for the landlords whenever she went missing. It was common for us to find her at the police station or in prison. Over the years, we had accompanied her to apply for a flat so she could have a chance to leave Geylang, but the application was always turned down because her family members are still around. She had, however, refused to seek reconciliation with her parents. Dew also declined our offer to go through the House of Olive Leaf's 24-hour in-house discipleship at our Changi Center, where we provided not only free food and lodging, but also a monthly allowance. I can only trust myself. What if you abandon me again? Dew had confided. After she was released from prison, she would still go straight back to Geylang because a low-income job was simply insufficient to pay for the cost to upkeep her transgender body.
Joy of reconciliation.
Dew finally went home to visit her dying mother, and I visited the family the following day. I told her father how Dew had missed them over the years. Unexpectedly, her father's eyes turned red and said he missed Dew every single day since Dew ran away from home. My only desire is that she will be in good company. I'm old, and I still work for others, but I can still survive by working hard. Dew could not believe it when I told her the conversation I had with her father. She asked me several times if I was making up the story just to cheer her up. She told me that she had a big fight with her father on the day she went back home. The father was shocked to see that Dew had become a transgender and asked her why she had come back to shame the family. When we visited her late mother's wake, Dew told us happily that her father did not feel ashamed of her when the relatives asked about her gender change. After the funeral, Dew updated us that her father asked her to move back home after the grieving period. Since then, Dew only came to Geylang on weekdays because she had reserved the weekends to be with her family. She told us cheerfully that she would live a decent life.
Reason again.
But Dew's weakness to use money to buy love surfaced again. With the source of her income from Geylang, she tried to please her family by indulging them with all kinds of material blessings. When one of her brothers suggested Dew to buy a condominium so as to secure the future, Dew would give him a few $100s every 2 or 3 days when she was able to earn up to that amount. She shared with us her heart cries whenever she thought of the possibility of not being able to earn enough money to finance the condominium payment. But she would always avoid our questions and remind us that there should be boundaries when handling money. "I should trust my family members," she would say, and then quickly change the subject. I could only imagine the devastation upon her should her family betray her. In November 2018, I woke up at 4 a.m. and wondered what God wanted to speak to me at such an early hour. Dew came to my mind, so I texted her. To my surprise, Dew was sitting at a void deck of a HDB flat and she didn't even know where she was. When I managed to locate her, I saw that Dew was under the heavy influence of drugs. Dew had been very tired of life at Geylang, and there seemed no end as she needed to shoulder the heavy financial burden to buy that condominium. "That day I was punched by a customer several times," she confided, with tears rolling down her cheeks. "I am getting old, and I don't know how long I can continue this kind of life, but I still need to grit my teeth for the sake of my family." I tried to tell her that her family members were adults and they needed to take responsibilities for their own lives, but again, Dew declined to hear. She appreciated our love and help over the years, but in her view, we were just outsiders and she could not put her hope in us. She kept silent when I asked if her family could be her hope then. The news soon came that Jude had to be sent to jail for her drug offense. As usual, she chose to go into prison for free food and lodging so as to run away from her problems which were too big for her to handle. Our hearts were heavy laden when we heard that she was caught on the first days of January. She was looking for a hope and breakthrough in the new year. We televisited her in prison and were comforted to hear that her family members visited her too. They assured her that they would welcome her back after her 5-year jail term.
Footnote: at time of writing, Dew is still serving her term. We hope that readers will begin to see the suffering and plight of transgenders from prostitution. More often than not, prostitution is not something they want, and definitely not the way out of their problems.
This book, God at Geylang, documents stories of the Creator God who loves deeply every single life He creates, including the marginalized and downcast people group at Geylang. It is our prayer that you will be blessed by these stories. As God loves this special group of people, He loves you too. For this entire book of 12 chapters, or for this book in other languages, visit us at geylangministry.com.